CNF Worldwide for nomads everywhere.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Rick Carter with CNF Worldwide, and we're here today in Gulf Shores, Alabama, down by the beach in the Gulf of Mexico. We're here with Jim Shamburger, founder, owner of Big Beach Brewing.
Co-founder.
Co-founder? Okay, let's get here. Who's?
Well, say Julie and I, we own it together. So
this is a family-owned establishment.
Yeah,
you
right.
and your wife
Yeah,
set this up.
Yeah, right.
So we were talking before we came on the air. A lot of craft breweries open nationwide. A lot of local, small-town, family-owned kind of operations. What inspired you and Julie to open a brewery?
Well, like so many of our current customers, whenever we would travel to other towns, across the country, be it Colorado, California, North Carolina, we would seek out breweries because there's always a good feel to it. It was usually kind of a family-owned or maybe a kind of a non-corporate sort of entity, and everything is usually a good place to get some good beer as well as some information about the area that you're visiting and all. So that was something that we did way before we decided to do this and all. So, and now we found that we have visitors from Minnesota and Michigan and all parts of the nation and from the world that come to us for the same reason and all.
So you guys have been beer tourists for a long time.
We have. We've been beer tourists for a long time.
So we did our research before we came down here. So, and you had echoed it a little bit this morning. You said your daughter actually got you started by buying you a homebrew kit, like eight years ago or so?
That's right. So, kind of by whim, I've always enjoyed beer and I've enjoyed going to breweries, but I'd never made any before, And so I guess for my birthday, Millie, who's also one of our employees now, gave me a beer kit that she bought at like a gourmet food shop, and I think the first kit made like a gallon and a half of beer, and I made it on the stove top in the kitchen, and I didn't think it was very good, but some of my tennis buddies that I shared it with said, "Man, this is really good, Jim," and so that kind of encouraged me to move on and all. So
you're always your own worst critic when you brew your first batch of beer. Everybody tells me that.
Yeah.
So how was the evolution then? Because I've had a lot of guys tell me, "Yeah, I made that first batch and I got the bug, and then I wanted to make bigger batches, and I had to buy this piece of equipment, that piece of equipment, and before long, my wife's saying, move it to the garage, and then the garage is full, and then she's saying, well, you either open a brewery or get rid of all this stuff." How did it go for you?
It was a little bit like that. The first few batches did happen in the kitchen, and I started to realize that this could be a mess. And then then I went from there to instead of getting a kit where it's more like a Betty Crocker sort of thing that you put together, I started making all grain, which gives you so much more flexibility and so many more recipes that you can use. And that required moving outside, and I was making it in 5-gallon batches then.
Yeah.
And so, I'm doing my research on the internet and going to the homebrew sites and stuff like that and learning stuff. And then it went from there to making 10-gallon batches. And now we're starting to take it to parties and wedding showers. When our son got married, we had a bride and groom beer, that I'd made and everything. So, and people are starting to say, man, when are y'all going to make this available to everybody, or when are you going to open up a place? Because we were kind of tossing around the idea, and then when you start talking, then people start talking back to you and everything. So anyway, we started looking at places around here probably in about 14, and we had one place we tried to go and it didn't really work, and then this particular lot, there was never anything here. We went from the ground up here.
This was new construction, the brewery and the taproom.
Yes, this was totally new construction here. We went and we looked at this lot, and we made the big leap and bought the lot, and then from there on, it's just been work, get it open, and we got it open the fall of 16.
So as you're doing this, as you're making that commitment, you're spending the money, you're getting the lot, you're getting the building designed and all this stuff, and you're like, man, we're really going to do this. Was it more terror or excitement?
It was excitement, but whenever you're making those kind of capital investments in a business that's never been in our area,
right?
You think, are we crazy? Are we going to go? I mean, we're going to be out of business, or is this going to be a great thing that the community embraces and the customers embrace?
Well, what was it? What factor made you go, yeah, I'm going to do this? Because you seem like a well-considered man.
Yeah. I feel like we did our due diligence. We started buying books that teach you about how to start a brewery.
Right.
In the fall of 14, we went to a course, an immersion course in Colorado, where we spent 3-4 days with a couple of guys that own a couple of breweries there, and they taught you, talking about the governmental end of it and the forms, and then the last day that we were there, we actually made a 7-gallon, 7-barrel batch of beer on their system with them and everything. So we had to learn a whole lot else besides that after we did that course, but I felt they were definitely teaching you about how to do it on a more of an economical budget. Sometimes I hear about some of these newer breweries and the numbers that they toss around of what they're going to be spending. I think, ooh, man, good luck and everything. But I felt like we, from a number of different ways, we kind of kept our expenses low. But we always had in the back of our mind, was this going to be a good project? Was this going to be a success and everything? And then when we opened the doors on the 13th of October, and this place was full of about 50, 75 people in the first hour, I thought, I think it's going to be okay.
It's going to be all right. So what kind of work were you and your wife involved in before you opened the brewery?
I'm a dentist. I've been practicing dentistry for 39 years, and we moved to this community in '96, and also I've been practicing dentistry here for almost 22 years.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Yeah. Okay. And then Julie is she's a dietitian by her degree from Auburn and everything, but she more recently she's become a personal trainer, and she's not with us today because she's at a convention for that. So she takes folks that are wanting to get fit and get in shape and counsels them both on how to live their life as far as their diet as well as exercise and everything.
Yeah, first, shout out to Auburn. Special day here. You're in the Final Four for the NCAA championship, so we got to get that in there for your wife, Auburn alum.
That's right. Yeah.
But you're touching some themes that we're finding everywhere we go. Is a lot of people that we have met that have opened breweries are well educated, professional type. A lot of them have science-based backgrounds, such as medical or dentistry. Yeah. We have one friend of ours who, her and her husband and a friend just opened a brewery in Baltimore last year, who's a PhD in microbiology from Hopkins. And she's like, I just didn't want to do that anymore. Yeah. She's like you. She's got a homebrew kit. 10 years later, she's like, honey, let's open a brewery. So
I think you find, engineers are so into being able to tweak and, deal with all the systems that are involved in the production end of brewing and all. I know there's another dentist at another brewery in other part of Alabama here that's involved, but a couple of attorneys at our closest brewery
Fairhope here.
Fairhope, yeah.
I believe we're going to stop by there today.
Yeah, right. But I think that a lot of these people are probably like us. They probably traveled and they've learned that breweries are cool places to go hang out, and particularly they've got all the information we're talking about, as well as a lot of times they got really good product and everything too.
Yeah, what we're finding is, like I said, we were at a farm brewery in Maryland last week, and I mean it's a true farm brewery. I mean they got the chickens running around, and you can sit in the tap room with the chicken on your shoulder drinking your beer. I'll show you a picture later. To inner city breweries where there's revitalizing neighborhoods, and the breweries are a key part of it, the urban renewal. It's a really cool thing everywhere we're going. So as far as the beers, and you mentioned the homebrew, what kind of beers did you first brew when you started? What were your original inspirations for brewing?
Yeah, one of my favorite beers, and one of the beers that we have on tap is kind of a iteration of Irish red ale that I got a recipe when we went to the course in Colorado back in 14. It's called Dixie's Heart red ale and all. We can't use the word Irish, because it means it's made in Ireland. But I like the British Isles ales and everything. I've always liked pale ales, more like a bitters from Great Britain and everything. So those are some of the beers. But one of the most beers I like the most is a Scotch ale, and I'd really never even had a Scotch ale before I became home brewer, and now we have a wee heavy on our menu right now and everything, and it's quite popular now. But I would say the ales of the British Isles were largely what I did. I made some saisons, and I made a whole host of different things, but I would say concentrated more on those and all.
Well, I would say as Rebecca and I, as a couple who travel to the British Isles every year,
Yeah.
we're going to like it here. Pretty sure we're going to like it here.
Right.
So as for the brewery and everything and in the community, I mean, you guys seem like really astute business people, professional people. You did all your homework. But as far as the brewery fitting into community, you mentioned to me that there wasn't one here before in Gulf Shores. And this is a tourist area. I mean, you got beaches just down the road here.
Yeah.
A lot of people come to visit. And even though the homebrew I can't even talk now, the homebrew revolution's been really cranking up the past 20 years. It's just in the past 4 years that you guys opened this.
Yeah. Well, I think about, one of the things we looked at when we were making our guesstimates about success with this thing was that we have 5 to 6 million visitors that come to the beach every year.
Wow.
Okay. So between Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, that's kind of, and we thought that, if we could just get a really small portion of those folks coming to the brewery, things would be successful and all. One of the other things about the particular region that we're in right here, this is an area that the city has developed probably in the last 6 or 8 years, and it's called the Waterway Village. And the Waterway Village, the Intercoastal Waterway just runs just behind us here to the north. And we have businesses both on our side and on the north side. And so there are different ordinances that apply here that they don't apply elsewhere, as far as residential. And we have residential really just only a block down to our east and everything. But one of the things that's possibly going to happen soon is they're going to reroute the state highway that goes right to the west of us, and we'll end up making this more of a walking pedestrian area and all. And we could eventually become a what they call an entertainment district, and that would mean that you'd actually be able to take a beverage from one place to another, and you'd be able to walk with an open, container and everything. So those are all things that, could be happening. One of the reasons why the city developed this was that, if you have a big tropical storm and, so much of what the city has going on down at the beach is actually out of commission, let's say for months or, could be as long as 6 to 12 months and everything. This would be a fallback place for visitors to come to, while they're making repairs and so forth to what's going on down there.
As someone who has a home in the Florida Keys and is just a year and a half removed from a pretty significant hurricane butt kicking, our problem down there is there's no place away from the water to do it. It's like water over here,
water's there.
Jim's Taproom here, water over there.
Right.
It seems pretty ingenious to me, pretty forward thinking. So you guys are basically, the second line of entertainment away from the beach. So if somebody came, because our podcasts aren't just about the brewery, it's about the community at large, and so we want to talk about the town of Gulf Shores.
Right.
For people who haven't been here, for people who aren't one of the 5 or 6 million a year who come to visit, what would you tell them about the place?
Well, I would say that, you've got a variety of type of cuisine, you've got, fried food is fried shrimp is probably the #1 item on most menus and everything, but you have fine dining and several restaurants here too and everything. As far as places, I like to kind of plug places that carry our beer on tap and
Please
everything.
do.
And if you go to our website, we have like a beer finder that'll tell you, some of the places that you can get Big Beach beer and everything. One of the particular chains of restaurants that I would like to mention, they're a very craft-centric group, and that's Luna's and Cosmos. They're down in Orange Beach on Canal Road, and they have a whole lineup of, I think they've got 16 to 20 different taps, and a lot of times they're about half of them are rotating Alabama taps, so they're very much into having
That's
your,
awesome.
your local swill and everything, So
So speaking of that now, because a lot of places we go now, we find some of the breweries they're just destination. They're the local brewery for that town.
Yeah.
And then there are other people, obviously their goal is to grow and have wide scale distribution. What's kind of the ratio for Big Beach Brewing? How much of your business is focused on growing the tap room and how much is on distribution?
Well, right now it's probably about 80-20, 80% on the tap room, because we may take a little tour of the back later, but we're definitely kind of kind of a space issue back there. We don't really have enough room to store. Like this week we had a huge order from a distributor, and we had a hard time finding the room to store that by the time they picked it up on Monday and everything. So we're trying to find new ways to find different ways of making more income within the tap room here.
Because you said, I forget what it was after we started the on-air conversation or not, but first you're wondering, hey, is this a good idea? Do we really want to do this? And then once you open the doors, you're like, wow, we should have done it bigger. I'm getting that a lot of places I go. I mean, there's a place where we interviewed in Massachusetts back in February, and they're like, we've been open for 16 months. We're brewing at capacity. We could easily double it to fill the demand. Yeah. And they're like, whoa.
And that's right now, our footprint is the two southernmost counties of Alabama, which are our home county, and then Mobile County, and then we go toward Panama City in the Florida Panhandle, and we have yet to saturate that area. So if we get to the point where we're, I feel like we've pretty much concentrated on that whole area, we probably would be at our capacity and everything, So and then you got to look at, well, now are you going to retool and make a huge capital investment of a new brew house and all that kind of stuff? And I don't really want to think about that at this point and everything. But we can grow within what we're doing right now.
So just want to enjoy this moment right now.
That's right.
How things are going.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your community a little bit, and about, we had talked earlier about collaborations and supporting other local businesses. Right. You want to shout out any people here that you've done collaborations with, like other brewers or other projects?
Well, we have done a couple of collaborations with Idle Hounds Brewery out of Santa Rosa, Florida, and we've gone over there and made a beer, a sour with them, and then they came over here. On our lineup there, the Brew IPA is the one that we made here with them and all. And the other thing about the brewed IPA, we also made it with a veterans blend of hops, which our head brewer helped develop with the Brewers Association. And it was all veteran members or brewers that kind of picked out the hops to go in this blend and all. So it's kind of special blend.
That's nice. We did 2 interviews last weekend on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Both groups involved military veterans. Yeah, the farm brewery I was telling you about, the guy's a 20-year Army vet. Right. And the other brewery is 6 ladies actually building a brewery like you from the ground up. Wow. 3 of them are ex-Air Force. Oh. Other lady is ex-law enforcement. So shout out to all you guys and what guys and girls and what you're doing out there.
I think that's great.
As far as events and entertainment and that kind of stuff, if people come to your tap room, what kind of events do you guys have?
Well, typically we have music on Friday and Saturday night, and then we usually have it on Sunday afternoon. Nice. Like I say, you were mentioning earlier, the exception tonight is that Auburn's playing in the big game, so we've passed on having music tonight because we'll have a lot bigger crowd of people coming to watch the game than we would have folks going to see it.
So the TV is going to be on, and people are going to be screaming and yelling, and
that's right.
Somewhere Charles Barkley is smiling.
Hopefully he is at the end of the night. Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of places do like trivia. That seems like be a big thing.
Yeah, and we started trivia. I guess it's been going about 1.5 years and everything. And basically, we took Monday night, which is kind of probably one of our slowest nights of the week, and we installed the trivia there, and now, man, you've got very competitive trivia teams and all, and I mean, I come and I'll sit here about the start of trivia, and I see all these faces that I recognize, and then you're talking about out-of-town groups coming in. So last year at spring break about this time, you had some group come in March, and they beat the regulars, and they didn't like that. It's funny.
A lot of places we go, we're finding that local breweries like this, especially family-owned breweries, are very family-friendly. Yeah. You can bring the kids in. A lot of places have games and stuff, and kids can play and stuff like that. Same here?
Yeah, we are kid-friendly. Right now, we're we're putting in new sod out there because there's so much play out there in the lawn that it just gets torn up by the. Well, also we had a lot of rain last year, and it was even harder to. So we put in new sod just about every year, but we're also dog friendly. If
that was my next question.
Dogs on well-behaved dogs on a leash, or we're happy to have them here and everything, you know, and well-behaved children and adults is preferable too. Yeah.
As one of our friends in Maryland says, we're dog friendly as long as your dog is friendly. That's
pretty good way to
so
put
family friendly, dog friendly. We got lots of music. We got trivia events. Anything else we need to tell people about why they should come to Big Beach Brewing here in Gulf Shores, Alabama?
Well, as far as new events that are coming up, we're actually having our own little festival here within the Waterway District, and it'll be 2 weeks from today, and on the 20th, and today the 6th, and it's called the Zydeco Festival, and it's crawfish. They have it's no charge, crawfish. Music, we'll have Big Beach beer on tap for sale at the festival. We won't be selling it, but the city puts it on and all. So that's it's nothing as big as, let's say, the Shrimp Festival, which the city puts on in the fall down at the beach, but still it'll be a real nice festival for folks to come to and everything. There'll be art vendors, and there'll be a number of different food vendors. A lot of the food vendors are within the Waterway Village and everything.
So as far as you, when you decided to build out the building, what was the reception like from the town as far as regulations and dealing with city government or county government to get everything off the ground?
The city was very excited about us, the fact that a brewery was coming into town and everything. I think whenever you have any build out, whenever you're dealing with the different ordinances and kind of getting things through, it's always a little bit of a challenge, but I mean, it was something we kind of expected to have to go through and everything. Right. And we, with the help of our builders and our architect, and we talked about the family business aspect of this. Our son, who's now our general manager, Ryan, he was also kind of our construction liaison. So he was here on the ground through the construction, and basically communicating with Julie and me about the different aspects that we need to do this, we need to do that, or this is something you need to look at. So he was very much involved with that aspect, and then he left a couple of months after that, and then he came back as our general manager in April of last year of 18.
So it's a true family operation here.
Very, very much of a true. We have the two children working with us, and then of course Julie and I are the owners and everything. So, it's very much a family business and all.
So when people come in now here in April of 2019, when they come here to watch the Auburn game tonight and later in the month, what kind of beers do we have on tap right now for everybody?
Well, let's start out with our core beers, which our flagship beer is our cream ale, Rod's Real Cream Ale. Rod Murray is our head brewer, and he's been brewing this beer for over 20 years. So he's really, I don't know which iteration this is, but he's been tweaking it a little bit here and there. Then our next most popular beer would be our 100 Days IPA, which is our other flagship beer. We have our hazy New England style IPA, which we just brought out in August of this past year, and it's been very popular. Nice. And then we would have our Dixie's Heart Red that we mentioned earlier. Yeah. And then I guess that would be the fifth core beer would be our Midnight Cruise Porter. And those are the five we're going to try to keep on through the year. A new beer that we've added, which is kind of like a lighter version of Rod's beer, is it's called the Classic, and it's basically it's a 3.2% golden ale. Nice. And we're trying to appeal to some of those folks that don't want as strong a beer there. This other beer that we have poured here is our Schwartz beer, black lager, and it's just a one-time batch, and when it's gone, it won't happen again. Probably it'll next.
I need to get into that then.
Yeah, you need to check that out. I think I mentioned already the Brute IPA that we brewed with Idle Hounds is on. And then we do have a sour right now. It's our Mango Shark. It's a guava and mango. Yeah, there we go. Mango Shark. And let me see what I missed out on. I'd already mentioned the WEDAT, We Heavy. Of course, WEDAT is a saying that the saints talk about and everything, and so we named our We Heavy WEDAT, and it's a pretty strong beer. It's only an 8-ounce pour that we use on that one. And then the last one I think that I have missed is our Mr. Tallyman, which is our Hefeweizen and everything.
So you got a pretty good selection for everybody there.
Yeah, I think that everybody that likes beer, they should be able, and we even when we have some wine drinkers that they just don't really care for beer, a lot of times we can actually get them started on a couple of the lighter beers that we offer.
Awesome. So great selection of beer, locally owned, family owned, community supported, town supports it. So next time you find yourself on the Gulf Coast in Gulf Shores, Alabama, come see Jim and Julie Shamburger, Big Beach Brewing. You'll be glad you did. Worth the trip.
CNF Worldwide for nomads everywhere.
This broadcast was produced by CNF Limited for nomads everywhere. The contents of this broadcast are the property of CNF Limited. All rights are reserved. For more information about CNF publications, contact us at 305-707-4024. Find us on the web at cnfltd.com.